Peace to the guys and goddesses, kings and queens, emperors and empresses, chiefs and priests and priestesses on the motherfucking land. Hope you're having a great cosmic rising or a great cosmic night, depending on when you catch or see this video. Today I got this little video here, creepy videos. Just videos of niggas just capturing shit, all around the world. A lot of these videos come from TikTok. And the reason why I say these videos come from TikTok is for the simple fact, there's a lot of things going on and around the world that people are catching, and it only take a couple seconds to a couple minutes just to upload, capture whatever it is that's been, that strange anomaly, and then upload it to TikTok. This is why they've been trying to ban TikTok, but Trump been keep pushing it back. They can't really ban TikTok. But other than that, let's get straight into it. I ain't gonna hold y'all up with the intro. I just hope you're having a great cosmic great cosmic rising or great cosmic night. You feel me? Depending on when you see this video, man. Let's get into it.
This next story is not only creepy, but it's
oh shit, hold on. It's through my speakers. My bad. Let me put it through my headphones real quick. I had to switch to my headphones. Hold on, I gotta switch to my headphones.
downright disturbing. Now, I don't know if any of you all have already heard about what's going on over in Ireland, where they found over 800 babies inside a septic tank. This church back in the I believe it was the...
Now, I have not heard about this. I don't know how recently this is. Actually, I want to Google this. The babies, Ireland. Oh, yeah, damn. Yeah, this is true. This is 2 days ago. This is on Juneteenth. Y'all crazy if I think I'm gonna stop my ad blocker. Yup, remains of 800 children found at unwed mother's home. Officials in Ireland began work Monday to excavate the site of a former church-run home, for unmarried women and their babies, to identify the remains of around 800 infants and young children who died there. Oh my God. The long-awaited excavation at the former Bon Secours mother and baby home in Tuam, County Galway in Western Ireland is part of a reckoning in an overwhelming Roman Catholic country. And you know how the Roman Catholics be. But County Galway in Western Ireland is part of a reckoning. In an overwhelmingly Roman Catholic country with a history of abuses in church-run institutions. This is facts, because we know what them little nuns, and them little priests be doing to them little boys and them little girls. The home, which was run by an order of the Catholic nuns, was closed in 1961, and was one of many such institutions that housed tens and thousands of orphans and unmarried pregnant women who were forced to give up their children throughout much of the 20th century. That's sad, man. That's sad. Body of a missing woman recovered after a boating incident. Damn. Father indicted for daughter's death after she was hit by a propeller on the family's boat. Like, it'd be crazy shit going on out here with children. Parents of decapitated baby awarded $2.2 million against doctor after autopsy photos posted online. Wow.
Noon, the parents whose baby was tragically decapitated during 2.2 against the without the caused emotion.
Decapitated baby. Wow.
In utero.
This
is quote, we're pleased.
This is why you hear certain black people say we need to start doctoring ourselves. We need to start learning the shit that they know in the medical industry and become medically professional to where we can medically evaluate ourselves, whether that's with or without the white man certification known as a degree. We need to be doctoring ourselves, because when we constantly sending them, you got to remember, black people forget that we are still in slavery. It's called mental slavery. It's called emotional and spiritual slavery. We're no longer in physical slavery. Yes, but as long as we're in mental slavery, we are already automatically in physical slavery because our minds is being controlled. We're just not in the physical slavery with whips, chains, and rape and constantly mixing of the blood and eating of the black flesh. You got to remember, we're sending our people and most importantly, our babies, nigga, to our own abusers. Think about that. Imagine you got a killer that that you dealing with, and but you like sending your baby you basically sending your gazelle baby to the lion, because the lion is over here. The lion has abused you so much physically, now he has mental slavery control over you. And the slave is what? A prisoner of war. So we're in war. So all this nigga did was just gain control of your mind, so that way he can coerce you to be like, yeah, I'm a doctor, I'll take your baby, and then once you send your baby to the lion, you know your baby might come back, but your baby might not come back. You see what I'm saying? So the parents of the baby who was decapitated at a birth at a Georgia hospital, wow, the parents of a baby who was decapitated during birth, what the fuck, at a Georgia hospital were awarded over $2.2 million by a grand jury in a lawsuit against a doctor they hired for an autopsy after photos of it were posted online. Like, who does that? The grand jury, Jessica Ross and Trayvon Taylor, $2,250,000 in damages on Wednesday. In September 2023, the couple filed a lawsuit. So it took them 2 years just to beat this lawsuit. The couple, I mean, that money, but you gotta remember, that amount of money can't bring your baby back. Like, yeah, they might be temporarily, what you would call peace. Happy is a definition for temporary peace. Yeah, they might be happy for right now, but even with all that money, they still gonna be hurt, bro, because they can't get their baby back. You feel me? I mean, yeah, they can make a new baby, but that shit still hurt them. You feel me? So, yeah, this is crazy work.
Very punished to Jackson. Jury sent a power must pay, and in always with empathy.
I was trying to see what the parents.
Attorneys
like.
for the families responded to the verdict, saying in part, quote, "We are pleased that a jury punished Dr. Jackson Gates for his reprehensible behavior, and we believe the jury sent a powerful message that doctors must always consider the feelings of their."
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I got a little track off the video. Y'all know how I be though, but just look. Yeah, y'all sometimes y'all gotta take a look at the news and see what's going on. Look at the shit that be going on in your world around you that they don't post like that on legacy news. They try to keep it a little hidden and shit. You feel me? Mother accused of trying to kill 8-year-old son, biting daughter who ran to stop her. Like, this is, and then 5-year-old girl dies to alleged abuse. Like, anybody could just have babies now. You see how she look? That's not a normal person. Most people that look like this, fool, something's wrong with them. I'm gonna be honest with you. When people look kind of like weird looking like that, bro, and I mean like weird looking, like, because you gotta think about it, who's clapping that? But don't get me wrong, it's niggas that's down bad that'll clap that, which is sad. So that's why I'm like, you gotta, when you see individuals like this, you like, damn, they got a baby. Like, I ain't gonna lie, not my bad, let me not say stereotype, I profile, because that's what the cops call it. Cops be like, oh, we don't stereotype, we profile. They have a professional name for it, so I profile niggas. But yeah, so apparently 800 babies was found in this is crazy, bro. This is what's constantly going on with our babies in the world.
The 1950s to the 60s, if not earlier than that, it housed unwed women, pregnant women, and so forth. News and media, the way they're presenting the story, and we don't know what to really believe here because we do know that things like the underground tunnels exist, but news and media, they are saying that a lot of these babies and children, they passed away from disease and they were malnourished. This lady researching this, she finds that all these children passed away, but she could only find the graves of 2 children. So the question happened to be, where are the rest of the babies and the children that passed away? Come to find out. And again, what news and media are saying is that the babies, they were all buried in a septic tank, over 800. While I was researching that story, I came across this news story of what this man found in his freezer. And again, this story is very disturbing.
Lived in this apartment for years, and recently he moved in to help her when she got sick. About a week ago, she passed away, and that's when he started going through her things. But during that time, he came across something that he didn't want to find.
So I was just blown away.
There's a lot on Adam Smith's plate right now. He's not only packing up his life, he's also dealing with the death of his mom, Barbara.
diagnosed with small cell lung cancer.
Smith recently moved into her South St. Louis apartment to help her while she was sick. And after she passed away last week, Smith started rummaging through her stuff.
And I was trying to figure out what I'm going to take and what I'm not.
As he was shuffling through the freezer to see what to keep or toss, he saw a box.
I'm 37, and it has been in my freezer for 37 years. And I was always told it was like a wedding cake top.
His curiosity took over. Smith thought in that box there could be that wedding cake top, or there could even be money.
I pulled it out and I set it directly right here. I grabbed this knife exactly right here, and I just cut through the plastic.
I'm not gonna lie. I know that I ain't gonna lie. I just farted too. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm kind of been holding that in, but I'm not gonna lie. I know it's not like the main topic right now, but this house dirty as fuck, bro.
And opened it up.
But what his eyes saw was something he was not expecting.
And it turns out it was a baby.
The frozen baby was wrapped in a pink fleece.
It still had skin, hair, and everything. It was mummified. After that, I just freaked out. I put it back into the box, and I called police right away.
Smith tells us that he never thought to look in that box before.
I've asked her several times. It was either a no-no conversation, she blew me off. My mom has always been so secretive about things throughout life.
Smith started
And
to
you know what? I kind of believe him because, like, I'm not gonna. I was gonna say, nah, nigga, you knew the whole time. Like, you had to look in there at some point to know what was going. But then I'm like, you know, because you know he probably was like, you know, looked into it and didn't want to call the cops because he didn't want his mom to go to jail. But when his mom died, that's when he finally called the cops so that way she didn't go to jail. And it could have been that. But then again, when you really think about it, it's his mama. Like, everybody gonna, you know, listen to their mama, nigga. Especially the, you know, the man is gonna always listen to his mother, nigga. You know, and that's what made me kind of lean. Like, he probably was asking his mom, like, what's going on? She probably, no, don't touch that shit, boy. You better leave it alone. You know, him being her son, that's his mama. He gonna listen, nigga. He gonna listen and be like, fuck it. If mama say it ain't nothing, it ain't nothing. You did so. And you wouldn't. And two, he probably wouldn't think of some shit like this with his mom. He probably think like, my mom need the type of woman that have a dead, frozen, mummified baby in the freezer. He would have never thought of no shit like that. So yeah, I ain't gonna lie, I believe him. I think he genuinely didn't know, bro. And I think he genuinely was curious, but he just, you know, because that's his mom, he listened and just, you know, blew it off and just said, fuck it, I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing. It ain't nothing major, you feel me? Until, you know, when she finally passed, it makes sense, you feel me? When she finally passed, that's when he was like, you know, since she is gone now, it won't matter if I look in here. So that's when he looked in here and he was shocked. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, I was gonna say that nigga probably most definitely knew, but then I had to take it back and really think on it. Like, nah, I don't think he knew.
Realized that his mom mentioned before about his sibling passing away before he was born.
We're saying, what, 46, 47? That's how long, I assume it's my sister, has been in a box in a freezer for this long.
As Shaken Up Smith is disturbed after unveiling a chilling...
That was supposed to be his sister. Damn. You gotta think. That's kind of fucked up when you really think about that. Like, I ain't gonna lie, I would be fucked up, bro. Because I would be like, damn, nigga, this is supposed to be my sister, nigga. She was supposed to be here with me right now. You feel me? Like, damn. She didn't even get she's still in, like, even though the baby, you know, it ain't, the body's not alive, you feel me? Still, it's like, damn, this still the body of my supposed to be sister. You feel me? Like, body ain't even grown. Like, you supposed to be here. You're not supposed to be in a freezer, man. Like, that's crazy.
Secret that's been tucked away for years.
Finding this, I'm more like confused, angry, and I just want to find closure. I want to know more answers.
Britney Spears' previous home.
But see, now he can't. His mama passed, man. That's sad. I feel bad for him, bro.
Was supposedly so haunted that she had to leave. Then another celebrity moved into it and mysteriously passed away. On an episode of the podcast called We Need to Talk About Britney, Britney's former makeup artist joined the conversation. She said that while Britney was living in this house, she had some type of spiritual transformation and invited someone over who claimed to be a spiritual healer. But after this supposed spiritual healer left, something didn't feel right to her. Britney told her former makeup artist that she thought the spiritual healer may have opened some type of portal. And she claimed that there were evil spirits inside of the house trying to harm her by doing things like pushing her down the stairs. The entire situation must have scared Brittany pretty badly because she left the home immediately and never returned. She then sold the house and everything inside of it to Brittany Murphy. And as many of you might already know, Brittany Murphy died in that house under very suspicious circumstances. Her husband Simon also died 5 months after her in the same room. After Brittany's death, Simon gave an interview stating that his wife tried to avoid the house at all costs. He said that he felt that maybe the property was unlucky and he planned to move his wife and his mother to New York City where they intended to start a family. Then after Simon's death, his mother was quoted saying, "All I know is that before Simon's death, he was having hallucinations that things were crawling out of his skin." Take a listen and let me know what you think.
She swears to God that they're like, he opened some spirit portal or something, and these bad spirits had come in, and it was like a male and a female, and they were trying to like push her down the stairs or something crazy. It was so bad that she left. She went to the.
I'm gonna tell you something. This is real. This the. Think about movies like Insidious. Think about movies like The Grudge. Think about movies like Oculus. Think about movies like Lights Out. Think about movies like Paranormal Activity, Poltergeist. That shit is real when they show you that shit in the movies. Like, that shit be going on with them in Hollywood. They telling you what be happening to these celebrities and shit in Hollywood that has made these deals with these dark spirits in order to reap fame and monetary gain in the world. You feel me? To feel like to feel like they're somebody, to feel like they have power when they don't. You feel me? They don't know that they're slaves to demons, and these demons can do whatever they want to them. You have allowed yourself to be overcome by demons, gang, and you allowed yourself to be overcome so much that you were willing to make deals with these demons. Now these demons can do whatever they want to you, and for example, hallucinate shit crawling out your skin when you know damn well it ain't no shit there. But guess what? It's there though. It's there because you made that deal spiritually with that demon for them to interact with you in any way possible. You feel me? So, you know, her trying to get pushed down the stairs, yeah. Her probably did got pushed down a couple flights. And it was like, oh, hell no, I'm done with this shit. You feel me? And then moved up out that bitch. Because you got to remember, most demons, when they do come into the realm, they're only bound to certain locations where they're summoned at. They can't go nowhere further than a certain radius of where they're summoned at. You feel me? Because that's just the natural law between the spiritual realm and the physical realm. You know, there's certain limitations you can do in the physical realm that could, have an effect in the spirit realm, and there's only, certain limitations of things that spirits can do in the spirit realm that, take its place in the physical realm or leak down into the physical realm.
Casa Del Mar Hotel to stay there and never went back to that house again. She put her house on the market, and guess who bought that house?
Who?
And died in it. Brittany Murphy.
That video was from Oddities on Elm Street, and I didn't know that Brittany Murphy passed away in the same home that Britney Spears found to be haunted and she had to leave. I always found what happened to Brittany Murphy and her husband to be very suspicious, but this adds an extra layer of suspicion to it. But I guess whatever was in the home was coming after a Brittany regardless.
I just found the weirdest thing I've ever found on Google Earth. I don't know if everybody knows about this, and I just live under a rock. I like to just randomly look through Google Earth, and this is not my first time. I don't ever remember seeing this. Can someone else tell me? The Bermuda Triangle, right here. Is there supposed to be a literal eye there? I mean, does this not literally look like an eye inside of the Bermuda Triangle? Like, you guys can see it too, right? Has this always been there? Like, is it just me?
Now, I'm not saying that's an eye because our minds can definitely play tricks on us, right, but it definitely does look like one. And what's even more interesting is that this is the Bermuda Triangle we're talking about, where a lot of strange things do indeed happen. And if you do take a closer look, it does look like this eye is around a star or a pentagram. That's a very good catch by K-Pop.
I see. Yeah, I see. Because I seen that eye, but when he said a pentagram, I ain't even peeped that, because you could see like the triangular formations. You feel me? Somewhat, if you make it out, you kind of see like the triangular formations or something. It's like it's encased in some kind of like sigil or something.
It's you. Say it. What is it? Grand Central. What is it? Here's a picture to remind you. What is this called? Is this called Grand Central Station, or is it called Grand Central Terminal? It's actually called Grand Central Terminal. When did that change? For me, it has always been Grand Central Station. I don't know when that changed, but apparently it is Grand Central Terminal. New York, only in New York. When did that, speaking of New York, let's do one more thing in New York. Where is the Statue of Liberty located? Where is the Statue of Liberty located? Come on, this is America. We all should know this. Where is Lady Liberty located? Is it Liberty Island or is it Ellis Island? A lot of people thought that it was Ellis Island, including myself. In my timeline, it was Ellis Island. But apparently, it is Liberty Island. Yes, Lady Liberty is on Liberty Island, even though in some pictures it kind of contradicts itself and it looks like it's actually on Ellis Island, but it's actually on Liberty Island. When did that change? But here's the ticker. Here is a 1985 coin. And what does that coin say? This is an actual coin of the Statue of Liberty. And what does that say? It says Ellis Island, New York. What's going on? Let me know if you remember.
I always felt like the location of the Statue
I
of
ain't gonna lie, they out there killing them niggas in New York, boy. Y'all need to. It's two places that niggas need to leave for sure, for sure. L.A. and New York, bro. Them is two of the biggest cities where it's like, man, niggas just need to leave because the amount of souls that can be sacrificed there and just in the blink of an eye is crazy, bro. They out there poisoning niggas with orange clouds in New York. Niggas got giant sewer rats. Niggas having fogs for 10 days straight. You know, this gang, I don't know what to say about New York. It's just drones flying, 50 drones coming out off the coast of New Jersey, coming out the ocean. Like, yeah.
Liberty seems to flip-flop. First it's on Liberty Island, then it's on Ellis Island, and then it's back on Liberty Island. Which is kind of weird because I do remember there was a Mandela effect, how people were saying the Statue of Liberty shouldn't be on Ellis Island, it should be on Liberty Island, that's why it's called Liberty Island, yet for whatever reason it was on Ellis Island. The whole thing's just very bizarre.
We've never had a nose ring. There is a brand new Mandela effect, and it's whether the Laughing Cow has ever had a gold nose ring or not. But on my last video, even the Laughing Cow replied, we've never had a nose ring. But if you look on the comments on that same video, yes, she did. Yep. Yes. Yes. I remember the nose ring. Yes, I remember a nose ring. So I'm like, maybe we're just confusing it with the Chicago Bulls logo. But sorry to disappoint, there is no gold nose ring, which I really thought there was. So we could probably do a whole video on that.
I'm gonna keep it a $150. The Chicago Bulls logo never had a nose ring, bro. Never had a nose ring.
And I know marketing stuff changes all the time. So I went over to Google. Did the Laughing Cow ever have a nose ring? No, the Laughing Cow cheese as portrayed in his branding has never had a nose ring. And if you go over to their page, somebody else asked, yes, you had a nose ring, don't play with me.
I don't think none of them had a nose ring. If they did, that's just the CIA. I told you the Mandela effect shit, that's the CIA and the FBI doing shit in society. It's called a social engineering experiment. It's called social engineering experimentation. Look it up. But the nose ring on this cow, the Laughing Cow cheese, I don't know. I don't really mess with Laughing Cow cheese or none of that shit. So I don't really look at it enough to know if there was a nose ring. I may have seen it a few times in my life, but I don't think it had a nose ring. And if it did have a nose ring, and now it's all of a sudden gone, that's just the CIA playing tricks on y'all to fuck y'all minds up to make you think you're in a different timeline. When you're in the same timeline. You ain't going nowhere. Now, all the timelines and paradigms are merging with ours, but our timeline is still overall the same, the same shit that's taking place. And it's just the CIA doing shit to kind of weaken your mind. What's Satan's greatest weapon? It's not really lying. It's not really being straight up, angry or jealous. Satan's greatest motherfucking trick is in his greatest weapon is confusion. Remember, they say Satan's greatest trick was fooling the world that he doesn't exist. How did he do that? By going by different many names to confuse niggas. The God in the Bible. The God in the Bible. We know what's up with that. What was I about to say? You know, the name Satan, you know, Iblis or Lucifer, all these different names that this entity is going by. And it's all the same entity. So, you know, that's all that is. It's just confusion to weaken your mind and have niggas, you know, kind of a little frustrated or like, you know, in a certain spiritual state of frequency where, you know, they kind of open themselves up to be attacked by more confusing attacks. You feel me? And it just caused further frustration in a person's life.
But even
like this type of when we talk about this Mandela effect shit, all it is a lot of shit is happening, and a lot of this shit is to attack you, but it is to, you know, if you look at it from a higher perspective, this is also a way to test your spiritual decipher abilities, to be able to decipher like, okay, I remember that shit having that, or nah, that shit didn't have that. Like the Chicago Bulls logo, I know for a fact that motherfucker ain't never had no nose ring. And the Laughing Cow, I might have seen it a few times, but I'm gonna be real, I don't even think this had a nose ring either.
in their corporate offices, there's no nose ring on that.
Now, when we talk about shit like the fucking Fruit of the Loom logo, if it had that little basket shit in the back or it didn't, now that's the type of shit I be questioning, because I remember Fruit of the Loom having that little basket in the background. And versus today, now the Fruit of the Loom, they don't have the basket in the background. Like I remember that shit now.
Image. Can't tell if the internet is gaslighting us or if we're gaslighting them at this point. I mean, I know this is all in good fun, but why does everybody remember the nose ring? Like everybody. Is there some other brand we're remembering, or is this an actual Mandela effect?
This is another bizarre Mandela effect to me, but when it comes to the Chicago Bulls, I do not remember the Chicago Bulls logo having...
See, like, look, see, he said he don't remember, yeah. Like, look, see, like, even the nose ring here, I know it's edited. Somebody probably, you could tell somebody edited it in there, but it just, nah, I don't think it had a nose ring, bro.
A nose ring.
And a cow, and you gotta remember, most cows don't even have nose rings. It's really the bulls that be having nose rings.
But when it comes to the Laughing Cow, I can definitely vividly remember the Laughing Cow having a golden nose ring. But I do want to hear from you all. Do you all remember the same thing when it comes to the Laughing Cow logo?
I saw something in Lake Superior. They're like scanning some part of the lake, and they literally found these giant monolith stones that were erected very similar to Stonehenge in Lake Superior.
Oh, no way.
With ancient carvings on them.
Oh, cool.
Recently? That's
I told niggas about the Great Lakes. The Great Lakes in Michigan used to be land at one point. Those are artificial lakes. Those are artificial lakes that were filled up to cover up old villages and old civilizations, powerful civilizations that were up there in Michigan. When we talking about the Ojibwe tribes, not the Apache, the Ojibwe tribes, the Algonquian tribes, who else was up there? Ojibwe, Algonquian. I can't think of the other Michigan tribes off the top of my head. Let's see. But yeah, the Great Lakes used to be basins. You can look it up. Were the Great Lakes basins linked together? In the North American Great Lakes are unique among the world's large lakes. And among the world's large lakes, in that their basins are linked together and form one continuous drainage basin. Together, they constitute the greatest freshwater system on Earth, covering an area larger than Texas and about half the size of Alaska. The Great Lakes basins were primarily formed by glacial activity during the last ice age. See what I mean? So that used to be land at some point. The Great Lakes were basins. They looked like canyons basically. And it says, as massive ice sheets retreated, they carved out depressions in the earth, which then filled with meltwater, creating the lakes. The weight of the ice also caused the land to rebound after the ice melted, and further shaping the basins. So yeah, the Great Lakes were basins, and it used to look like, whatchamacallit? Hold on. Great Lakes. The Ojibwe, the Ottawa, the Potawatomi, there we go. The Menominee, the Cree, the Sauk, the Fox, the Kickapoo, the Miami, and Shawnee. Those are, and additionally the Huron, Iroquois, which was in Chicago and out there in Illinois. Iroquois, Illinois, including Seneca, Cayuga, Onondaga, Oneida, Mohawk, and Tuscarora. And these were before these lakes. Like, these lakes were never filled at one point. You feel me? They were never filled with water. They were like literal whatchamacallit. They were like canyons basically that the tribes lived in. I'm trying to find this website, bro. They explain it, bro. I remember reading it. I might not be able to find it, but its arrival before explored by the 16th century, the native people of North America had developed into widely different cultures and tribes. Tribes are traditionally highly organized, politically autonomous groups composed of families, clans, and bands. Yeah, so damn, I can't. Hold on. I might not be able to find it right now. Yeah, I might not be able to find it right now. But if you look at the Grand Canyon, that's what the basins kind of look like in Michigan. Because, you know, in the Grand Canyon, there's water right here. The Grand Canyon used to be filled with water. You can look that up. But, you know, that's why it's now it's a mere, like, river now. But this is what the basins used to look like. This is what the Great Lakes used to look like up there in Michigan before it was filled with water. Something like this. And there were villages and temples and shit that they had inside the, you feel me, in the shits like this. Or, you know, it was a little flatter on the ground so niggas could, you know, have like villages or like homes. You feel me? And you know, sometimes it could be the tent huts, or sometimes we had full blown like monolithic structures going on. You feel me? And we was, you know, we still had like a little river going through. You feel me? And niggas was, you know, thriving off that part of the land right there. But yeah, this is why they're finding that shit. You know, they talking about they finding pyramids and ancient structures under the Great Lakes now in Michigan.
That's crazy.
Yeah, there's like, because, you know, the Great Lakes filled up because of the last ice age. So the glaciers that melted made those lakes.
Wow.
It's crazy you bring up Lake Superior because that's where Old Whitey is.
Sorry.
Lake Superior is freezing, but for some reason people still dive up there. And so there's a ship that sunk, and it's a rite of passage there. There's an old man who was wearing a cork vest. He's stuck in the hull of a sunken ship, and it's a diver's rite of passage to approach Old Whitey and you shake his hand.
Ew.
That is so barbarian. Get him out.
It's like One-Eyed Willie from the Goonies.
Yeah, yeah.
Literally, he just floats in the hull.
Old Whitey wanted to be buried at sea. I've always wanted to be buried at sea.
Leave me with the ship.
I guess it's really...
Shake my hand. Lay me with me, darling. Shake my hand. I'm Old Whitey.
That's
Dude,
awesome,
imagine
Butler.
it just squeezes your hand back.
I saw something in...
There is definitely something odd beneath the Great Lakes, more specifically Lake Superior, and I still wonder sometimes what that ship had ran into to cause it to take on water. We still never had any answers to that event.
Probably gonna get a weird feeling in your body when you watch this documentary, but you're also gonna learn a lot, especially about the company that was behind this whole concert, which was Live Nation. Before it even started, this whole disaster of Astroworld was
I remember this shit, Travis Scott with the Astroworld event. Look at that portal. That's a portal right there. That's a portal to pull, and it was you. If you really paid attention to it, these rings in here were made of like some type of metal, and I don't know what kind of metal, but I wanna say it was definitely some type of very magnetic metal that can pull on the souls and the spirits of niggas, because you gotta remember, humans are electromagnetic. They are electromagnetic beings. You have electricity in your body, which is your nervous system, and you have your spirit, which is in your body, which is the magnetism. And the magnetism in your body comes from the solar plexus, which is your stomach, your gut, your organs, your liver, and all that shit. It creates in your heart, your heartbeat, and your gut organs create a magnetic. It generates a magnetic field, and it generates magnetic energy along with your spiritual electricity energy, which is your nervous system. So yeah, you know, I'm pretty sure these metal rings were like made of some type of metal to pull on the people's basically life force, nigga, and cause nigga. And you gotta remember, a lot of niggas was jabbed up and shit, And you know, when they started playing certain frequencies, and yes, niggas can hear the music, but they were also playing frequencies that these people couldn't hear, that activated something in them to go wild. Then they said somebody in the crowd, which I'm pretty sure was a sleeper cell, they said somebody in the crowd was going around and stabbing people with a needle, injecting something in them. And then, like I said, you know, the whole entire, with all the mixture of that, made everybody go wild. Then you got people already on drugs coming to concerts. You got people that take ecstasy, LSD, MDMA, and shit like that. And they coming into this shit, and they all turned the fuck up and going so crazy and losing control of their spirit and soul to the point they don't know what's going on. They killing people around them, people getting trampled and shit like that. Like, it's crazy.
Predictable, and Live Nation was sending texts saying there's no way we can fit 50,000 people in this concert, and staff were texting during the concert saying people are passing out, people are unconscious,
Pull tons over the rail, unconscious. There's panic in people's eyes. This could get worse quickly.
On panic is in people's eyes, and yet they didn't stop the show. Literally acknowledge that someone could lose their life in this situation, which many people tragically did. I mean, there are disturbing scenes of people doing CPR in the crowd, and in the background, Travis Scott is just full on performing, and they never whispered in his earpiece, which they could have, to stop the show. The documentary explains how the crowd setup basically became a trap because people were coming in from the sides to see the show, and then once the music started, people got boxed in by the crowd barriers and there was almost no way for them to get out. Some of the workers on the documentary said they were even told to play into the whole chaos. The promo videos literally showed people jumping over fences to get in, and that's exactly what happened. Now, the documentary doesn't cover this, but I think there's something way deeper, and it's the symbolism behind the whole concert. If you've been following me, you've probably seen the videos already, but the stage in itself was shaped as an upside down cross, and behind that was a
behind, and then there's a portal, the escape plan. Then look at the metal, look at the rings. I told you these rings are made of, it's like, they kind of shiny too. So yeah, they were made of something, bro, that was able to pull on the people's frequencies.
Portal, and the portal says the escape plan, which is ironic because people were literally finding out ways to escape. It also said things like "see you on the other side." Even the shirt Travis Scott was weird in itself. It's people walking into a door and they're coming out as little red devils. There's just way too many red flags, and you can go watch some of my old videos if you want to go see all the symbolism, because there's a lot more. But the worst part of it all is that no one was criminally charged, and it felt like no one was held responsible for this. And then Travis Scott went on to break records in 2024, selling out one of the,
because he made a sacrifice. And on top of that too, you notice what he said: no criminal activity, no criminal charges were placed. So you gotta think about it. Why were no criminal activities in charge? Why was Travis Scott not, why wasn't certain managers, promoters, show promoters, security, and even Travis himself and his management team, why were they not charged, you feel me, for basically murder? A 9-year-old boy died in that shit, bro. A 9-year-old boy died in that shit, bro. He got trampled to death. So that's what I'm saying, and he wasn't charged. That's because they don't give a fuck. You see how they do it? And then he went on to break records after that sacrifice? Yeah. So this is just disgusting to me, to be honest with you.
The highest grossing tours of all time, and it was produced by Live Nation.
So people are talking about Astroworld again because of this documentary that came out.
And then on top of that too, notice how when this shit happened, they tried to sweep it off like we forgot. I told you I'm recapping shit all year long, bro. I'm recapping niggas to refresh them on all the things that took place since 2020, on why we're in this exact specific paradigm right now in 2025. You feel me? So, like, niggas need a recap. Niggas need to see shit like this so we can remember what road we on and what we're going down as a humanity and as a species. You feel me? And even within this humanity species, a lot of us need to be taking care of our own species within humanity. You feel me? White people need to be taking care of white people. Black people need to take care of black people. Mexican people need to be taking care of Mexican people. Mexican people do it the best. So, once we come to that realization and we start taking account on our own people, and we start, we stop. We have to, I'm not gonna lie, we have to a certain extent, separate. Go from integration to separation, for the simple fact we need to learn our own peoples again. Once we learn our own peoples and come back together how we need to, then niggas can work hand in hand again, but also do their own respective things with their own species. You feel me? And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just nothing. It's just no different than the birds being with the birds, the lizards being with the lizards, and the bees being with the bees. You feel me?
All those people that lost their lives at that concert were a sacrifice. Let us also not forget all those shadows that were jumping through the crowd, and what really stood out to me was how Travis Scott, he looked like he was in some kind of trance as the bodies were being lifted up. Travis Scott had all those shadows that were jumping.
Oh, you see that shit? That shit, there is a shadow jumping. You see that shit?
At that concert were a sacrifice.
I ain't never seen that footage.
Let us also not forget.
I have never seen that footage. Look over here to the right.
At all those.
Wham, look, it's right here. This little dark entity. Hold on, let me make sure y'all can see this shit. I gotta make sure I don't be recording without. Okay, yeah. So look, you see over here to the right, it's moving. I'm gonna play it in slow motion as a matter of fact. Let me turn the playback. There we go. Look right here.
Shadows.
Look at that. It's jumping. It jumps and then it moves right here. And then it disappears. It fades out. So it moves into somebody's body. Then it comes back out. You see it right here. It's emerging back out. It's making this little Y shape right here. It's emerging back out.
Proud. And what really stood out to me was how Travis.
There you go, right there. It's right there.
God.
It jumps out. It literally jumps out of somebody, bro. There's like security and shit right there too.
Like he was in some kind of trance as the.
That shit's crazy. That shit is crazy, bro. Put it back on normal playback. But yeah, if you look at it right here, it start right here and it comes out of somebody.
All those shadows that were jumping through the crowd, and what really.
That's weird, bro. I never seen this footage, bro. That is weird, bro. And it's on potato footage, so I know it's real. It's potato quality. All them potato quality videos be real. You can't edit them bitches. How you gonna edit something that's ass? You feel me? How you gonna edit something where the quality already ass? There's something, but you definitely see something unnatural going on there in that footage, bro. There's a shadow, literally you see it like emerge out of somebody on some like real movie shit and then jump into somebody else. This is what goes on. You gotta remember, a lot of phones, people don't really notice, but a lot of your phones have infrared like cameras. Like, let me pull it up for you. Hold on. Do phone cameras have infrared? I don't want to say yes. Phone cameras can detect infrared light, but they usually have an infrared filter to block it out for better image quality. While the camera sensor is sensitive to infrared, the filter prevents too much infrared light from reaching the sensor and causing unwanted effects on the image. So you gotta remember, a lot of our phones have shits. The way they're made, they have in the glass, in the lens, the way they're made, they can pick up shit that the naked eye can't, bro. This is why a lot of people catch shit that they do on camera, but when they look with the naked eye, they can't see it because your naked eyes is not made like the camera. You feel me? Yeah. That's what your third eye comes in for. Or let me say your first eye. But you know, this is what's happening in the world around us on a day-to-day basis. When you out here in the world as an average person, this is what's going on around you that you can't see with the naked eye. There's shit like this going on. Shadows jumping. It looked just like that. The shadows jumping out of people and then jumping into another person. What we would call agents. That shadow is a sleeper agent, nigga. That shadow is you gotta remember, the CIA, FBI, they know all about remote viewing, astral projecting, hemisync, the pineal gland in the first eye. They know about, gathering hyperspace energy to charge all their chakras, and they go out and they send, you've seen that shit, bro. They send shit like that out, but their energy is so dark. They look like that. They look like dark demonic shadows. And they jump through people, controlling people, making them do some of the bizarre shit. This is why you run into some of the most bizarre, strange, weird-looking motherfuckers out here. Just like when I showed you that woman right here. They look like this. They usually be people like this that harbor these energies, because you could just don't get me wrong. You got sometimes these spirits come in the most beautiful, handsome, and most charismatic motherfuckers with some powerful characters. But most of the time, people who do move on those high frequencies of having a charismatic character and shit, they kind of lean more towards the positive frequency, which keeps them from, sometimes they can get overtaken, sometimes they can't. So like I said, it just all depends. But you know, most of the time when you see individuals like this, that you just look and you can just tell they on bullshit just from their physical phenotype, nigga. You already know. So like that's just me profiling. I don't care how niggas feel about that. I'm gonna profile because it saved my life many times. I profile niggas. So yeah, that's creepy, bro. I have never seen this footage.
What stood out to me was how Travis Scott, he looked like he was in some kind of trance as the bodies were being lifted up. Just a horrific, evil concert.
You think nothing will truly disturb you or keep you up at night? I dare you to look up how many people have gone missing from Nome, Alaska. Because from 1960 to 2004 alone, 24 people disappeared from this remote, isolated town, and it is terrifying. That's what happened to Joseph Balderas and Florence Okpiolag, who disappeared within 4 years of each other in Nome. Residents in the town are on edge because of these mysterious disappearances that just keep happening, and the majority of them are still unsolved, so let's talk about it. This disturbing reality was brought to my awareness after listening to the Up and Vanished podcast, where the host, Payne Lindsay, actually traveled to Nome to investigate the disappearances of Joseph and Florence. Their new season sheds light on how both of them seemingly vanished into thin air. Let's start with Joseph. Joseph moved to Nome in 2014 and quickly fell in love with the little town. He was a law clerk with Nome's 2nd District Court. He was described as incredibly smart, kind, and was good at pretty much everything he did. He was about to move to Juneau with his fiancée, and overall life just seemed really great for them. That is until June of 2016. Joseph was last seen on June 24th, 2016, but he very mysteriously disappeared after this, and what followed has never been explained. 3 days came and went with no sign of Joseph. His fiancée wasn't able to get a hold of him, and he no-called, no-showed work, which was extremely out of character for him. So one of his colleagues reported him missing, and a massive search was launched. That very same day, police found his abandoned truck at mile 44 of the Nome Council Highway. It was unlocked, and inside was his backpack that contained fishing supplies, waders, and boots, but Joseph was nowhere to be found. Police assumed that he was just in the area hiking or running, but it would soon be clear that something horrible happened to him. Police, along with search and rescue and the U.S. Coast Guard, scoured the area for Joseph, but found nothing, and it was like he vanished into thin air. The search for Joseph was called off after just 9 days after finding no evidence of what happened to him. Police are not ruling out foul play, and there are some theories as to what could have happened, but to this day, Joseph and the truth remain missing. It didn't take long for tragedy to strike Nome again, because just 4 years later, another person would go missing under mysterious circumstances. Florence Okpiolag was 33 years old when she disappeared from Nome on August 31st, 2020. Florence...
I thought that was, I ain't gonna lie, I thought that, cause, I'm not gonna lie. Is they talking about her? She's 33 years old, bro? I thought that was a little girl, bro. I ain't gonna count to you. I think it's just her face. Her face so baby and smooth, bro. I thought that was like a little 13-year-old girl or 14-year-old girl that came up missing, bro.
Florence was a native of Wales, Alaska, but had moved to Nome in 2013. Similar to Joseph, she was last seen leaving a tent on West Beach at around 4 p.m. that day. And after this, she vanished into thin air. A massive search for her was conducted as well, which involved Nome police, the FBI, and the U.S. Coast Guard. But the only thing ever found was Florence's shoes, socks, and jacket. And just like Joseph, to this day, Florence remains missing. So I heard about this disturbing mystery after listening to the podcast Up and Vanished. I don't know if any of you listen to this podcast, but the host, Payne Lindsay, is so incredibly talented. This isn't just a typical true crime podcast, because Payne and his team have spent years working together and traveling to different places like Nome to get on-the-ground coverage, which is pretty rare for a podcast. He is extremely hands-on, and his approach is boots-on-the-ground investigative journalism, which I love. His new season already has 2 parts that are up and ready to listen to, and I highly suggest you all go listen to this. It's insane what he's able to uncover by simply going to these places and
I'm not gonna lie, the story of them niggas in Alaska remind me of this movie. It remind me of The Fourth Kind, bro. Look. Ooh. We might be linking something, gang. We might be linking something. Go watch this movie, The Fourth Kind. So The Fourth Kind, we gonna go into the plot, right? The Fourth Kind, this is a very good movie, and this movie took place in the same city, Nome, Alaska, nigga. It says Chapman University hosted a televised interview with psychologist Dr. Abigail Abbey, who describes a series of events that occurred in Nome, Alaska. And the lady, Dr. Abigail, she's like the main character of the movie. But she said who describes a series of events that occurred in Nome, Alaska that culminated an alleged alien abduction in October 2000. In a reenactment of events occurring in August 2000, Abby's husband Will is murdered, leaving her to raise their own two children, Ashley and Ronnie. Her own two children, Ashley and Ronnie. Abby tapes hypnotherapy sessions with patients with shared experiences of a white owl staring at them as they sleep before creatures attempt to enter their homes. That night, Abby is called by the police because one of her patients is holding his wife and two children at gunpoint. He states that he remembers everything and asks what Zamabu Eater means. Despite Abby's pleas, he murders his families and commits suicide. Abby suspects that these patients may have been victims of alien abduction. There is evidence that she may have been abducted as well, when an assistant gives her a tape recorder that plays the sound of something entering her home and attacking her. The attacker speaks in an unknown language, and Abby has no known memory of the incident. Abel Campos, a colleague from Anchorage, is suspicious of the claims. Abby calls upon Dr. Awolowo Odosami, a specialist in ancient languages. This the nigga that when he listened to the language of these aliens, and it was Greys that were abducting her, the Greys that were abducting Abby, in his movie. When he finally figured out the language, guess what the language was? It was Sumerian. Dr. Awolowo Odosami, a specialist in ancient languages who was a contact of her late husband to identify the language of the tape. Adusami identifies it as Sumerian, and he starts talking about the Anunnaki and shit in this movie. Another patient, Scott, wishes to communicate. He admits that there was no owl and speaks of them, but cannot remember anything further, and begs Abby to come to his home to hypnotize him. Under hypnosis, he begins hovering above his bed while a voice speaking through Scott orders Abby and Sumerian to end her study. So they were telling her, the Greys were telling her, bitch, if you don't end your study, we're going to get you too, because you doing too much. You finding out too much that we need to keep a secret, and it's supposed to, we made a deal. We don't need you to find out you made a deal with your government. You know, the Greys made a deal with the government. So they was telling her in their language, Sumerian, to end her study. Town Sheriff August, and then too in the movie, they say, here it is right here, on God. I'm glad I found it. It states that Ashley would never come back before referring to itself as God. So we gonna get to that down here in a minute, right? So it says, but the alien told her to end her study. Town Sheriff August later arrives, telling her that Scott is paralyzed from the neck down, believing Abby to be responsible. August tries to arrest her, though Campos comes to Abby's defense and confirms her story. August instead places Abby under guard inside her house. A police officer watches Abby's house when a large black triangular object appears in the sky. And that's crazy. I've captured real black. I ain't gonna say multiple objects, but I captured a black triangular object one time on camera. I still got that video. The image distorts, but the officer is heard describing people being pulled out of the house and calling for backup. Deputies rush into the house, finding Ronnie and Abby, who says Ashley was taken. A disbelieving and enraged August accuses Abby of kidnapping and removes Ronnie from her custody. Sometime later, Abby undergoes hypnosis in an attempt to make contact with these beings responsible and reunite with her daughter. Hypnotized, Abby recalls that she witnessed Ashley's abduction and she was abducted as well. An alien presence communicates with Abby, who begs for Ashley's return. It states that Ashley will never come back, and before referring to itself as God. So they took her children, because that's what these Greys do. They take babies. They need them to sacrifice them to these higher beings. I don't know why. That's the thing I get tired of. These ETs like to refer to themselves as God because they think they got more power than us. And it says, when the encounter ends, Campos and Urasami rush over to the now unconscious Abby and then notice something off screen. The image distorts again as a voice yells, Zimabu Era, before resolving to show that all three are gone. Abby wakes up in a hospital with a broken neck. August reveals that Will had committed suicide, and Abby's belief that he was murdered was a delusion. The reenactment ends, and back in the present, Abby states that she, Campos, and Urasami were abducted during the hypnosis session, but cannot recall their experiences. She is asked how anyone can take her claims of alien abduction seriously if she was proven to be delusional about her husband's death. Abby states that she has no choice but to believe that Ashley is still alive before breaking down in tears. This movie was crazy, bro. And this was in Nome, Alaska. This movie took place in Nome, Alaska. And this is the same place where these people came up missing without a trace. And it's kind of around that same time. So this nigga Joseph Balderas, and then this other girl, I forgot her name. They both came up missing without a trace, and there's more people in Nome coming up missing without a trace. And this leads me to think there might be some alien abductions still going on to this very day, bro. See, I thought that shit ended in the 70s and the 80s and shit, but you know, when you really think about it in today's age, bro. When you really think about it in today's age with all of the constant spraying in the air, the nanotechnology, and you know the blocking and damaging, or you know of the third eye, you know, I don't think that's the reason why we don't see these crafts as much no more with the naked eye, and we only catch them on our phones. I mean, sometimes we can see them with the naked eye if we opened up, you feel me? But you know, I think that's why niggas wasn't seeing them how we was compared to back then. And then back then, the only reason we was, you know, back then in the day, like 70s and shit, the only reason they was seeing them so much because niggas didn't have phones to record shit. I mean, niggas did have cameras and shit back then, but you know, them cameras wasn't hitting. Like now niggas gotta recharge them bitches and put some new film in them bitches and shit in order to, you feel me, too much shit. And then by the time they get done reloading the camera, nigga, that hoe gone. So, you know, in today's age, we don't see them as much just because, one, the technology, and two, you know, probably due to, you know, a lot of the shit, really, a lot of the shit they spray in the air to keep the shit covered from you seeing what's going on up there. But yeah, I'm actually gonna play a clip of this movie real quick before we
traveling to different
before we finish this video out. I just want to show y'all the fourth kind, bro. This movie was crazy. And this movie came out in 2011. This movie came out in 2009. 2009. I think I remember watching it in like 2010 or 11. I remember, you know, me and my mom used to always like watching movies and shit together when I was younger. So she put on a movie and put on this shit, and I was like, holy shit, what kind of movie is this?
I don't know what this is. I don't know what's going on.
And this is the main character right here. This is the main character.
I don't want to listen to it again. Will the others feel the same way? Will they see what he saw? Will they have to proceed with extreme care?
I ain't gonna lie, I forgot her name, but she played in some damn good movie. Her right here, she played in some good movies, bro.
What's happened here is tragic, but remains unexplained.
So what's happening right now, this is her own self-recorded audio, but she doesn't remember this because she was abducted during that time.
And worse, unsolved, like Will, and
Why is my fucking video lagging? Stop. Oh, it actually might be like the actual video. See, she was abducted right there. She doesn't remember that. So this is her own audio of her hypnotizing herself to, you know, to look back to see what happened with her husband's death, because she don't know if her husband was murdered or killed him, but it turns out her husband killed himself or some shit like that. But I don't think he did. I think he was captured, because if you really pay attention, the husband was in contact with the nigga from Africa, Dr. Ualamu Urusami. The nigga Urusami was he was a language specialist, and he was able to decode these aliens' language and figure it out that it was Sumerian. And then, you know, it was relating it back to the Anunnaki. So, you know, her husband was probably doing the same shit she was doing, and he got. And then they, you know, aliens, they advanced as fuck. They can make it seem like he killed himself. You hear that talking? You hear that? That's the aliens. That's them grays. And when she was abducted, you hear her screaming. They're doing something to her. This is what happened. This what was really happening to these people, and I think it's still going on in Nome, Alaska. Now that I just seen that shit, niggas is missing, coming up missing. Even though it was back in 2013, 2014, they're still missing. They've been missing for almost a decade, nigga. Almost more than a decade. So, like I said, her screaming that's her inside the ship with these beings, and they're doing God knows what to her. I mean, if you seen one of the scenes, like you could see some shit get drilled up her ass or some shit like that. Like they didn't show it. They didn't show it, but like they showed the thing like going up to her or some shit like that, and then they cut off before it happened, bro. I think that's the scene. And if you and two, y'all wonder, when you hear about aliens, you hear about probing. When niggas think of probing, they think of, something happening to them sexually. And that's actually what goes on. You feel me? Sometimes there's stories out there where niggas sometimes they don't do that to you too. Sometimes they inject shit to you. Sometimes they take genetic material. Sometimes they remove a whole bone, nigga, or some shit without even harming your body, nigga. And then most of the times it is sexual contact. Sometimes they might have you. It was a story where a dude was put in a room with two other beings. They were females. He knew they were females because they had female body parts, but they weren't human. And it was like they were both like blue or some shit like that. I don't know. But he said they came into the room and then they dropped this strange gas into the room, and I guess it was to get their hormones started. And he was told to reproduce with those, with those entities. A lot of others, they, had some shit put up their ass or, some shit probably extracted from they nuts or something. You feel me? That's what these ETs do because they need genetic material in order to create a hybrid species. You feel me? A hybrid species. But they don't, because these beings can't reproduce. These beings that's coming here, they can't reproduce. They have no reproductive parts. So they're trying to create a hybrid species where they can merge themselves with where they can have reproductive parts to be able to give life again and multiply their species, because their species, if they can't reproduce and these niggas still age and still die, because they very much will do, they know at some point they're going to become extinct, so they're on a mission to keep their species from going extinct. But they have to do it but they're doing it under malicious and sick means though.
That's you. It's not my voice. Just relax. There's a lot of people in the room with you now. You're not alone.
This another scene out the movie. This is another scene, and I like this movie because they tried to make it seem like this was real. I think this was. They say it's fiction, but they tried to make it seem like this was a documentary, bro. Like they putting clips in here. Like this looks like a real clip, bro. When I seen this shit in the movie, I ain't gonna lie. I know this is real. This gotta be real. This is a real clip that was recorded. Watch what happens in this clip. It's fucking scary and it's wild. This was October 4th, 2000 at 11 a.m. And, this is the lady right here that they had in the movie. Even though this is like a fake, old school documented footage, fiction documentary basically. Because that's what it says in right here. It's a science fiction horror film thriller. Written, directed by This film is a pseudo documentary. A pseudo documentary or a fake documentary is a film or video production that takes place or the form of style of documentary. But why would they do it like that? Why would you want to make this seem like a documentary as if it's real? Because they want you to know that, like, hey, this shit, we telling you that it's fake, but you can take what we say or you can take what the movie say. You feel me? And the shit that go on in real life. Niggas is getting abducted in real life. But we also been putting in your head that this alien shit is fake, because that's what the government, they've been putting this shit in our head that this shit don't be going on. So when you get movies like this, it's up to you. A lot of people they get in that void state, that in between state. They don't know if they want to say if this is really going on or if this is fake. So, but me with my spiritual decipher, this is like a real clip right here. This is a real clip from somewhere, bro. And they put it in a movie, and this, man.
Relax. By the time I reach 1, you will be asleep. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And you see how I switched to the real movie? So basically right here, hypnosis. The reason why they do hypnosis because it puts them in a trance-like state. It puts people in a trance-like state. Notice he's laying flat on his back. These are the perfect requirements for sleep paralysis, which is the gateway to astral projection, separating the soul from the body. But, you know, or separating the spirit from the body, my bad. But, you know, with this shit right here, hypnosis, he's being put in a sleep paralysis state where he's able to be, you know, he doesn't know how to, you know, people don't believe in astral projection. So when they in sleep paralysis, they don't know what the fuck going on. They think they stuck, but really they just woke up in their astral body. They woke up in a spirit body and they just don't remember how to move it. You don't move. We so used to being on earth, moving arms and legs, walking and jumping and shit, but we don't know how to move a body that doesn't require that. It literally just moves around when you think of it. You float. You don't need, I mean, you could think of arms and start grabbing shit, but you don't really have to do that shit. When you in your spirit body, it's all the mind. It's the mind. So wherever you think of with the mind, wherever you want to go with the mind is going to go there. So that's how it works with that. You don't move with arms and legs and shit with the spirit body. You just can't. So this leads to niggas being stuck in a sleep paralysis state in the spirit plane, and when they get full of fear, now they're emitting a frequency in the spirit world it's like a beacon. It's like a beacon of light for all other negative entities that smell that fear and can pull up on you. And now you seeing shadows in the corner of your room while you paralyzed in your sleep, and they draining all that energy off of you. And some of them might, and if you can get so deep in that fearful state where they can actually physically harm you while you're in sleep paralysis. This Urusami right here, this the nigga that found out notice they needed a black nigga. Notice they needed a black nigga for them to decode the language. Like, yeah, this the Sumerians, nigga. He knew them African, you know, they know what's going on. They know we know what's going on anciently amongst our highest echelons of thinkers in our black community, whether it be Africans or niggas over here in America. Nigga, the most highest echelon of thinkers in our community, nigga, know what's going on more than them. That's why they had to call him up to figure out what the fuck was going on. They like, who is this? Who's these beings and what language are they speaking? And then just to throw it out there, they could have made it any other character. They could have made him white, German. They could have made him anything. Why they had to make him black? Why he had to be the nigga to bring the piece of the puzzle to help them finally know what the fuck is attacking them?
Scott?
Look at the real video. Look at the real video. I think this is real footage right here. Look how the video distorts too. And look, I think this was real footage. But look, he's speaking in the Sumerian voice. Tyler. It's Tyler respond. No, and then they said no need to pray. He said, whatever name is, you know, posing this, whoever trying to pose as God, he said, I am here. End your studies. Then that's them talking to the lady, like the lady that's conducting this experiment. But look how this nigga's floating. Look at his fucking mouth. It's being disjointed. His whole mouth is being disjointed, nigga. This looks like a real video that they slapped in this movie. And the only reason niggas never questioned it, because you gotta remember back in 2009 and shit, niggas was so sleep, they wasn't trying to question shit like this. But now when I look back at this shit in 2025, I think this was a real documented footage that they got of somebody being possessed by ETs, specifically the Greys, and they just slapped this shit in the movie, bro. And he died after that. This is when the kids get abducted right here. One of the kids get abducted. It was the daughter. This is when the daughter gets abducted. Look, they're gonna show some more. Look, they're gonna show some more real video footage. Look at this. I think this is real too. Look at that. MPD, Nome Police Department, Nome, Alaska. I think this was real footage at 3:33. Look at this. Look at the time. 3:33.
There's something. Oh my God. There's something. You're a flying machine. Over the tower. Residents. It's pulling out of the house. It's taking me. We gotta get somebody down here now. Please. We gotta send backup now. Oh, shit.
Pulled up and took their kids, but look at the craft that pulled up. Look at the craft that pulled up before it started distorting so heavy. That motherfucker pulled up big as shit, boy. Look at that motherfucker right there. Pulled up big as shit. That's the craft they pull in. Big circular disc. They said it was a black triangle. I don't see no black triangle. And then it took her daughter and got up out of there. And then this is the lady right here that was this is the lady right here. Here she is when she wanted her own hypnosis to be performed on her so she can figure out what happened to her husband and her kid, bro, that got snatched up by these beings, and some gruesome shit happened. See, she got possessed. Look at that. Her fucking mouth was disjointed. Oh my God.
What do you mean?
Child will never be returned. My whatever. And then right there he says, I am God. He said, this truth remains hidden. You want that shit to remain hidden. I am Savior. He said, I am the Father. I am God. So that's what, this is, bro, this movie sent chills down my fucking spine as a child, bro. This movie is slept on. Like, niggas don't talk about this movie enough. This movie was slept on, bro. This shit sent chills down. Like, they just threw this bitch out there on the sly, and you feel me, and then pushed it off. Like, this movie, man. Her whole fucking mouth was disjointed, bro.
My God.
And then they all got abducted. They all had got abducted. Man, this was one of the crazy. So that's the fourth kind, man. Go watch that. You feel me? I recommend y'all go watch that, man. This movie was insane, bro. There's the owl that she kept seeing, and then when she got kidnapped by the aliens. Hold on, I wonder if I can find it. The alien. I want to see if I can find it, bro. Because when they showed them coming in, you can see their faces, bro, and they were basically grays, bro. Nome, Alaska, 2009-02. I'm not sure why they showing that. Damn. It's like at the very beginning of the movie. Hold on real quick. Hostile species appearance. Although the creatures are never shown in the movies, the recordings of distorted verses are heard in the blurry spaceships. Nah, there's a scene, bro, when they rush in, like you see them bitches rush in, fool, and they look like grays. Cause they show the owl and shit. Damn, I can't find it. You have to watch the movie, cause they move so fast in the fucking movie. When they came in her room, bro, it was 3 of them. Bro, them bitches was moving fast as shit. And then after she seen that owl, and that's when she got abducted and shit. But yeah, The Fourth Kind is a crazy movie. And now that I seen this shit that happened in Nome, Alaska with these people missing, I very much believe these beings are still taking people from specific remote locations where people where they don't get much news coverage or like media attention at.
So as most of you already know by now, I have been following this content creator, Shiloh Hill, who bought a pair of bloody boots off the dark web. These pair of boots, whether it's boots, shoes, what have you, they have a name and an age attached to them. So this has been the most recent update in regards to all of this.
So if you've been following the saga of the shoes that were purchased off the dark web by So if you've been following the saga of the shoes that were purchased off the dark web by Shiloh of the WWE, there is another chapter. As you know, he took a heel off one of the shoes and found a tracking chip. He's since gotten a burner phone. This is the burner phone that he purchased. What he wants to do is take the chip that was in the tracking device and put it into the burner phone to see what it's been tracking.
Man, this nigga's smart. How the fuck you know how to do that?
Here is a look at what he found out.
I got pretty much the cheapest unlocked phone that I could get. I'm hoping that this thing has some type of like browser on it, but by the looks of it, that might be kind of unlikely. Let's see if we got some charge in this battery. Here we go. At least if I don't learn anything about the SIM card, I can start trapping. Okay, let's see what we got. Ooh, 4G LTE, let's go. Okay, let's see if this thing is a phone number. Calling myself. Okay. Ooh, call ended. Okay, fail. See what this browser's talking about. Okay. Ooh, we have internet. Okay. The cell carrier is. Now it's saying AT&T up there. Up in the top left. Okay, this is interesting. City Naperville, Region, Illinois. Belgacom. That's really weird. All these sites are giving me drastically different locations.
So basically, putting the SIM card into the cell phone didn't do the trick.
Regardless though, the SIM card is definitely functional in terms of cellular data, which means we gotta plug into this thing and see what it was sending. So I ordered a USB to serial converter, and it should be here tomorrow.
So now you know there'll be a part 5 as to what this chip was tracking. But on another note, he did go back to the website to see if any other shoes were added. Here's the result. Take a look. I freeze framed it for you. It says Onion site has disconnected. Could that be because he found the tracking device and he is going to track the people that are tracking him?
All right, so I ordered some boots off the dark web, and they had this little GPS tracker in them. I figured out that the tracker was trying to send my location to a phone number, and so today on my live stream, I called it.
I know who you are. I know what you did. And if you found this number,
So it's hella seductive.
At the tone, please record your message. When you've finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for
What?
more options.
I don't know. I know, bro's probably trying to be scary, but that sounds like why is he moaning into the phone? So I sent this one back. Oh, I'm coming for you. I know who you are and what you did, and I'm gonna pay that price.
Hell
If
no.
you're satisfied with the message.
And
I ain't gonna lie, that's funny as hell. Hell no. But yeah, man. Crazy shit going out here. Weird shit going on out here, man. Y'all stay in tune. Y'all stay healthy. Y'all stay hydrated during this hot summer, man. I'm real curious on what's going on with those people in Nome, Alaska, and I'm real curious on those 800 kids that were found buried in a septic tank. That's crazy, man. Other than that, I appreciate y'all, man. I value y'all. Like always, stay in tune. I'll be back with another one. One love, make universal love, y'all. I'm out.